All right, hello everybody. Welcome to today's video where I am really excited to have Marc here because as the pandemic was happening, everything was shutting down. There were so many delicious astrologers and not nearly enough weeks, days, or moments to get everybody. So I was able to catch up with Marc. We've got him here now, and we're going to talk about the nodes, which is just, I live in lunar land. I work with the phases, the nodes, all of these things coming through an evolutionary expression. So I am more than thrilled to have you with us. Welcome, Marc.
Thank you so much, Stormie. Really, really excited to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes, especially, because I'm in Colorado, you're in Australia. We were like, okay, we just have to find like a 2-hour window where nobody's up at midnight.
Yeah. Well, this is good because it's morning the next day for me. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning the next day for me, which is always pretty good for you guys because it's in your afternoon.
Yeah,
So that syncs nicely. Yeah.
it's worked out. Now, Marc, I always like to make sure that people are able to connect with their teachers or their mentors or find the vibration that they can learn and listen in. And you've got a school, and I would love for you to tell us all about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Stormie. My school is called Sydney Astrology School. That's SYDNEY, the city in Australia, Sydney Astrology School. Now, it's an online astrology school, so I've got students from all over the world now, not just Australia. So people in the US, I've got quite a few students from the US. And it's a school that takes you from absolute beginner right through to advanced levels and professional levels too. So there's terms for everybody to learn from. And what I want to say about it is that once you finish the course, once you've actually done the course and graduated from the course, then it keeps going. You don't have to leave. I mean, we keep on with postgrad stuff. We have master classes. We have what I call another level 5. And so I have people studying with me for years and years and years and years. So it's one of those kind of courses that if you love astrology, like most people who come to the course do, you can stay and study at Sydney Astrology School for as long as you feel like, as long as you like. And for me, it started out quite small when I first started many, many years ago, and now it's exploded into this big school, this major school now. We are having another intake very, very soon. The next level 1 intake starts on the 21st of January. And tomorrow we have a flash sale. So a 5-day flash sale starting tomorrow that gives you a nice juicy discount for level 1. Okay, so if you email Sydney Astrology School at gmail.com. Just email your information, email your address, your email address, and I'll get back to you on all the details about signing up.
Fantastic. And you guys, as always, I will make sure that all of this information is in the description box just below this video, or if you're listening on podcast, it'll be in the show notes so that you can get linked up and get connected if this is your right fit and your vibration to study. And one of the other things I want to celebrate is that we've got the YouTube Academy that's happening here on this YouTube channel. And it's a fantastic opportunity for you to start or continue your studies. But where I want to be very clear that I think schools like Marc's and our other teachers come in is that with mentorship, we go further faster because you also get to see where maybe you've got a lot of whip, but you don't have a lot of depth on a particular subject or what you don't know. So it's very important that if this is for you, if astrology is for you, to get hooked up with a teacher who can walk and be there with you. Like, I love providing content and it's very good. We've got great teachers, but get in there if this is for you. So we'll make sure that that's available down below.
Yeah, fantastic. I also just want to add too that in my school, you get me live every single week. There's no pre-recorded information. I'm with you every single week, giving you the content, giving you the webinars. And I also mark all your homework too. I give homework, of course, because you can't really become a good astrologer unless you're doing it, unless you're practicing it. And I'm marking it. I'm actually marking it, which is very, which
Yeah.
is full on for me, especially with the amount of students I have. But so it's very hands-on, you know. I'm actually a big part of the school itself.
Mm.
So yeah, so it makes me feel in touch, in contact with you all. It gives me that feeling of being much more personal with my students
Yeah.
and knowing exactly who they are and how well they're doing and all those kind of things. So I feel that sets it apart. Another thing I'm doing too that I need to mention is that Nadia Shah's Synchronicity University, I'm doing a mini course for her in January, starting, I think it's January the 6th,
Okay.
a 5-week mini course on pulling the nodes together, lunar nodes together in a reading, in a chart reading. So
That's
that's
brilliant.
another really uh, kind of exciting thing for me to do, and I hope that you guys sign up for that too.
Yeah, yeah, and where I noticed that this year we're back to back because I'll end with Nadia. We have a break, and then Mark is on. So
Oh, good.
truly, as professionals in a community as well, we are all working together, and that's something I want to invite you to be, paying attention to if you're learning astrology out there. Is like, who are the people who are working together and trying to build other astrologers up? It's really very important. So thank you for
It
sharing
is.
all the goods, and we'll just make sure you guys are so connected that it hurts and you can just study anywhere and everywhere all of the time. And we would love that for you, right?
It's fantastic, isn't it? The amount of people out there now who love astrology and the amount of people out there being able to share their knowledge. It's fantastic. Really,
Yeah,
really great.
it absolutely is. And can I ask one more question before we talk about nodes? We are going to talk about nodes, you guys. I have this personal perspective going on this year where I'm very much so celebrating time and the passage of time. It's a very Saturnian thing for me right now. So I'm curious if you'd be willing to share with us how long you've been practicing.
But what, sorry?
How long have you been practicing astrology?
How long have I been practicing astrology? I would say around my Saturn return time, which is what, 28, 29, I really started to practice seriously.
Uh,
So we're talking 33 years, 34 years.
that's fantastic.
It's quite a long time.
It's quite a long time. And I think something that is like my mission right now is to be celebrating time and what that's brought into your life, where it's taken you and what it's allowed you to bring into the world as well. So I'm so thrilled to hear 33 years. That means you have some experience, Mark.
Well, yeah, as I was telling you before we came on air, I was saying that I got my first astrology book when I was 10. And I was just saying to Stormie how I felt very familiar with astrology and all the signs, even as a child.
Mm,
So I feel I came in with it. I feel that there was a big part of astrology that I was born with. So the familiarity of it all and studying it for me, it wasn't one of those things that I found difficult. You
yeah.
know how people when they study something from scratch and
Mhm,
they have to kind of go, oh, God, get the tin tacks together from the beginning. I
mhm.
felt like I was almost a step ahead before I even started because of the familiarity, as I said, of knowing it from times before or however that actually came in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so studying it for me and becoming familiar with it for me kind of flowed into my life relatively easy. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really, I think, a perfect segue to talk about the nodes and kind of this soul code and encoding that we come in with, and we're growing in, we're growing out, we're trying to integrate, all of these things. Because I can look at my own chart and see where the astrological signature was very strong in my nodal makeup as well, and how I even apply it out here today. So,
Yeah.
for you, nodes, why the nodes? Tell me about that.
Always, it's one of those kind of things another thing from the word go that I was drawn to from the beginning. Um, because the nodes carry, particularly the south node, but of course the north node's definitely a part of it too, but particularly the south node carry a very elusive energy. It's an energy that is very familiar to us on one level, yet on another level, it feels very, it feels a little bit like a kind of like an internal feeling that we can't really put our finger on. You know, that kind of feeling?
Yeah.
That feeling that we can't point to and actually go, oh, that's what it is. I can see it, but, you know, it's not tangible. It's not concrete. It's got like a memory, like an emotion memory of sorts, or a cellular memory of sorts, that I was drawn to from the very, very beginning. Because for me, you know, I'm an evolutionary astrologer. I'm a spiritual person, so I know that there's more to life than just, you know, this handful of years
Yeah.
on this planet right now. I know there's a lot more going on, you know, before and a lot more after, and it's all happening at once anyway. And so I was drawn to the understanding of what was actually going on outside of what's happening right here and right now.
Mhm.
And that fascinated me. That fascinated me that we actually come in with something, you know, on our slate. We don't come in blank slates. We come in with something already there. And that in itself was something that it felt very magical to me. It felt very, you
Yeah.
know, it felt
Yeah.
very, I felt very connected to the universe. I felt like a little sprinkle of the universal energy here on the planet, representing the universe
Mhm.
with something that I've known from before. And the universe is kind of in its way trying to help us, or trying to support us with being able to get it together, to be able to get it right in some kind of way. And it knows that, you know, it knows what we've been through before.
Yeah.
And so in our own way, we have to go there. You know, we have to go in. We really do with the nodes. We have to go in to figure out what they are, especially the South Node. Because as I said, it's not something that we're going to be totally aware of or totally conscious of, but it's so strong. It permeates our whole life.
Yeah.
It's right in the thick of it. But at the same time, we kind of feel like we're kind of swimming in it. We don't actually feel it. You know, that kind of feeling. It
Yeah.
feels like we don't actually feel like that we've got it, you know, in our hands and we can do something with it. It feels very much like we're just a part of kind of like an emotional kind of whirlwind that we know, that we definitely know, and we feel on a certain level something has to be done about it. You know,
Mhm.
we have to really, really look at it. We have to really understand it. We have to really know what this is,
Yeah.
because there's a big, big part of our evolutionary journey or our karmic mission or whatever you want to call it that has everything to do with getting this together, that has everything to do with getting this right.
Yeah.
And so the mystery of it all was the part that got me excited.
Well, and it's kind of nice because I know, like, I come from the evolutionary lens as well, and then it later, like, sprinkled out to humanistic, and I've kind of fused those two together. But it was this idea of, we can jump off our conversation right here. Because I find with people, even though they can't put their finger on it, when we start a conversation in the South, they go, oh, yeah, like it's just, just, yeah, all right, sure. As
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah,
I've tried to, integrate or come into the end point at the North Node, and they're like, what? I see the eyebrows come together. It's like, I mean, why would I do that? It's just kind of a
yeah,
very different response, but understanding that South Node story really
yeah,
opens up. It's almost like twisting that perfect lock into a spirit and going, yeah, but you already know
yeah,
this. So let's talk about this
yeah,
because this,
yeah,
which is fantastic. And I'll tell
yeah,
you, so I have a South Node in Capricorn, which just makes me laugh all the time because I spent a couple years here with all of the Capricorn signature fighting with my South Node being like, I don't want to talk about business, but I don't want to teach people about business. I would not enjoy that. No, thank you very much. And now I've launched a whole school, like, and all I teach about is business.
yeah.
So,
It's just
and
like
it's the most natural thing.
yeah, yeah. It is. We know it. We do know it. Every single person knows it. And when I talk about it in readings, you know, I bring it up very, very early in readings
Yeah.
because I feel if I bring it up early in the reading, I often feel the rest of the chart does make more sense
Yeah.
when it has something to come from.
Hmm.
People know it. People do know it. But at the same time, they don't know why they're going through this, and they really don't know what to do about it. You know, they know this feeling, they're very familiar with this feeling, but it's beyond doing something with.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh yes, I know that feeling and I've worked it out and I can, you know, it's like, yes, I know that feeling and
Good job, right?
I just have this kind of funny kind of reaction to it. You know what I mean? I have this weird reaction to how I play it.
Yeah.
Um, and it still has me clueless. It still has me, but I know it. I know it really, really well.
Hmm.
And so many people tell me when I'm doing readings for them, are we talking about this lifetime? Or are we talking about a past life? Because what you're telling me now is what's happening in my life today.
Right.
And so here's another version of us bringing in, I call it series one, and this is series two.
Yeah.
And series two always takes off where series one ended, you
Hmm.
know? And so it's kind of like, yeah, you're still playing series one. You're still in series one, you know? You have hopefully series two is going to actually start turning a corner for you.
Yeah.
So
I love that because I love TV. So I talk to my, my friends and my family, and I'm like, yeah, this is season 40 of Stormie in this lifetime. Like I've made it to 40 years old. Here we go. So that makes a lot of sense. But so tell
it's like
me,
that.
what's the turning point then when we look from the south to the north?
Well, the north is such an interesting point because I feel it does beckon us. I feel it has got an energy that is trying to draw us in that direction. I know a lot of other people say, "Oh, it's a good idea," you know. It's just an arrow pointing in the opposite direction, saying, "Wouldn't it be good to have a look over here?" I get that. I get that as well. But I feel that the North Node has kind of got a feeling of it's kind of like your friend that wants to save you, you know? It's like it really is. It feels like you don't know me terribly well. It feels like a stranger. It
Mhm.
feels like a stranger that's coming up to you and say, you don't know me terribly well. But your cluelessness about how to get this together in your life, I can actually shine a light on that for you.
Yeah.
I can actually be some kind of support or some kind of healer for you. But it's almost like, oh, this is a stranger. I don't really trust you very well. You know, I don't know you all that well. I like your vibe. I think you feel like a nice person.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm gonna follow you, but I'm gonna follow you slowly and lightly. And it might take me a little bit of time to actually get there. But I feel positive. I feel that you do mean well, and I feel that you do have a good heart. And so therefore I do trust you to a certain degree. But the South Node energy is so strong. It's almost like our default
Mm-hmm.
that if we take our eye off where the North Node wants to go, you know, we'll elastic band back
Yeah.
very, very quickly and very, very easily back.
Yeah.
So the North Node, even though it's trying to help us out, we still have to be very conscious of following this friend.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if we don't, if we don't, we feel a little bit like, here we go, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I continue to find walking with people through the conscious integration of that opposition and then seeing what can be created in the soul story. What does happen if you trust old Lucy Lou over there versus just, the one that you know? What could you possibly create with that? But I will tell you, I think in this lifetime for me, that North Node is a little bit harder. It is certainly harder. This one has been a challenge. Well, it was until 38, and then I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it is. It is challenging because it's not what you know.
Yeah.
It's not what you know. And you know, the old adage, you know, it's better the devil, you know. Sometimes sometimes we'll play into things that don't work for us, and we know it doesn't work for us, but we know it. We
Mm-hmm.
know what we're going to
Mm-hmm.
get from it. We expect it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's got guarantees, even though they're not good ones. We still know what we're going to get. The North Node doesn't give you that. The
Yeah.
North Node gives you no guarantees. The North Node gives you no understanding of what's at the other side of this. And so
Yeah.
for us, it always feels a little bit like, you know, because we're very security conscious people as, you know, as humans, not just Taurians, but as humans.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, that's not just the Taurus nature, friends. It's
No,
just
as
human
humans.
beings.
So entering into the unknown, or entering into stuff that we feel is kind of that takes us beyond ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
um, takes us time. Some of us never get there. Some of us never get there. They just choose not to do it, and that doesn't make them good or bad people. That just that just makes me feel that you know, there are people that have gone up, you know, to jump out of a helicopter, you know, with their parachutes on, and then had to come down and not do it. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a disappointment about it more than
Sure.
anything else. You know,
Sure.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you get the whole mission done every time, you know, like there's a lot to take on being a spirit in human form with the human condition. There is a lot to navigate depending on that spiritual development level and skill.
totally,
So,
totally.
you know, if a couple people have been back for North Node work, I assure you.
Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure. And in the end, Stormy, it's very much, you know, in the end, you don't chuck out the North Node for chuck out the South Node for the North Node.
Right.
It's a balancing act. Every single axis in our chart's a balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
And so the nodes become a balancing act. We have to replant the South Node. You know, the South Node gets excreted in a way, it gets pooed out in a way,
Yeah.
and then the poo becomes the fertilizer for a new way of being able to use it.
Yeah.
And the
Mm-hmm.
North Node helps that. The North Node is your way of being able to help the South Node replant itself and be reborn. Because you know the old dragon's tail. You know, the
Yeah.
head was the North Node taking in the nutrients, and the tail was pulling it out.
Right. And it's
And
all
so,
yours. That's the
yeah,
best part.
yeah, and so whatever, if you've got Cancer Capricorn, then Cancer Capricorn have to come together and work together as the whole kind of nodal matrix in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cancer is going to, if you've got the North Node in Cancer, Cancer is going to what you're going to be spending a little bit of time on, but it is going to actually help the Capricorn replant itself and be born in a brand new way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's
so
absolutely
that's basically what
beautiful
it is.
because mine are fifth, 11th house, and that's exactly what I've done with it. Is taken all of that business and structure and very Saturnian things and come to get other astrologers, creative entrepreneurs, parents, you know, families, and said, what if you just apply a structure? You know,
That's it.
and that has been, you know, there's been just a real awakening for me around that, which is why I think I was also very excited to talk to you about the nodes, because I know others are experiencing this at the same time. Like an awakening has kind of reemerged for many of us where we go, oh, I'm somehow working a little bit in both of these, you know, like there's
Yeah.
a knowledge of it. But speaking of just the knowledge, I would love to hear. We've had these transiting nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, and we're going to move to Aries Libra, but let's talk Taurus Scorpio for all of us. What have
Um,
you been working out?
it's so the Taurus Scorpio nodes that are transing at the moment. I'm because Taurus Scorpio, the axis of Taurus Scorpio is the axis of survival. Taurus Scorpio is about survival, and it has a lot to do. It has a lot to do with our security, our sense of worth, our sense of value. You know, all those things are going to come up. And the fear around that, you know, the fear around being insecure or the fear around self-worth or the fear around not having, fear around not having money, all those kind of things. It's Taurus Scorpio stuff. On a personal level, what I'm getting from this is, have you noticed how so many people at the moment, especially young people, and this is not everybody, but I'm noticing it quite a bit. There's a lot of people who are trying to find their value or trying to find their worth in a scorpionic kind of way. And I want to, when I say, and not necessarily, I don't want to make it bad, but you know how this thing on the internet is happening now. It's, what's it called? Something fans?
Oh,
My
only
fans?
fans. Only fans.
Only fans, where you can be a soft porn star at home nowadays. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't have to sign up to a porn company. You can actually put a
Yeah.
camera on yourself and do, pornographic things and put it on and make money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this this is Scorpio Taurus, don't you think?
Yeah.
Scorpio
Yeah.
is taking it to the edge. Scorpio is taking it into those areas of what we might call taboo, or pushing the envelope in that scorpionic kind of way, and then putting it out there to make a buck out of it. Not just make a buck out of it, but most of these people are doing it
Yeah.
for fans, which makes them feel good about themselves, which makes them feel valuable, which makes them feel it's supposed to be building their self-worth.
Mm.
But in the long run, I don't think it will. Maybe at the moment, it's a momentary kind of thing as these planets, as the nodes are going through these signs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not gonna be around for long. It's not going to last for very long.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those kind of things that people are doing to try to really feel, I want to say, to really get to a place where they have where they own power, where they have their own power.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think that this is a powerful thing to do, being in the power
Yeah.
seat.
Sure. Sure.
But in the end, a lot of stuff that we do, thinking it's going to be, we're in control, we've got our power back. We're actually doing the opposite. We're
Yeah.
actually giving our power to other people, because in the end, if they don't get fans, if they don't make money, all that kind of stuff, then it's like snakes and ladders. You know what I mean? You get to the
Mm-hmm.
top and then you hit a snake and
I go back down.
right back to the beginning again. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's the danger. That's the danger around it. I think a lot of people these days are trying to find their worth, their sense of personal power, their sense of personal control, all those wonderful things, putting it in the hands of other people in a
Mm-hmm.
way, thinking that they have control over it. But in the end, the fans or whoever it is out there, the
Yeah.
money or whatever, is
Mm-hmm.
always going to actually take control in the end.
Yeah, which is really
So
interesting because even thinking about it from the perspective of not just the OnlyFans, which is one of the power kind of grabs and dynamics, is very much so the taboo of things, which is not right, not wrong. It's just another thing. But I do think too, I've seen a lot of people try to hang on to traditional work, right? With this same powerful idea of, well, my company would never let me go. My company will never, my security is with this
yeah,
company. And then,
yeah,
yeah, and it is a power dynamic as well. And then what's happening, we're seeing lots of changes, recession things coming. And it's like, well, where's the resource now? Where is
yeah,
your resource now? So it's even, I think,
yeah,
from the OnlyFans to, it's very much so this conversation, I think, of where are you available to be your own resource as well?
yeah,
Like, in what is your resource? And as a Taurus, and just when I look at Taurus energy in general, my chant is passive income. Where do you have passive income? Right? Like, what are you building to kind of take your power in that very resource kind of way? So it's very interesting. And some of it
that's
is
it.
quite painful. It's scary, right? These are
It
it's
is. It is. That's it, Stormy. It's because that's the the idea of what I brought up is just kind of like a template for so many other areas it can play out in, you know,
Oh, yeah.
like what you're just saying about where you were talking about. It comes through in that too. But it's always, to me, it always just feels a little bit like if it's going to be money, if money's going to play a big part in this, and Taurus Scorpio will definitely play into money for sure. I think people are really having to look at, whether they look at it or not, but it's going to be the underscore of it all, how we make our money,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and how we're making our money and why we're making our money and what we're doing with our money.
Mhm.
You know, those kind of questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a conversation with another person who, in this idea of relationships and being of service and money, was talking about the amount of money that their business made, right? But that wasn't the truth. The business was financed. It wasn't what was in the bank. And it was like,
Yeah.
let's have a conversation about that. Because it's the
Yes.
same thing as the template that you're saying, where it's like in that scary place of how am I going to do this? How am I going to build this? What is my worth and my value? And why am I doing it? That becomes a really big, like scorpionic kind of, that's hidden, right? But it looks really good. It's very pretty, very Taurus in public. And it's like, no, no, no. What is this? What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. Because Scorpio energy will bring everything up. You know what I mean? It'll go right down into the truth of what's going on and bring it to the surface.
No, do
And
you?
so
Oh, sorry.
a
Go.
lot of us, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say I got so excited, but do you always also feel like because we've got so much coming up from the root, that in that Taurus side, it's like your greatest asset, like the thing you
Yes,
struggled with, the thing you lied about, the trauma that you've been through, the healing, the whatever now becomes like your greatest asset if you will integrate those things.
exactly,
Oh,
exactly. It's hugely purging. It's like a purging, isn't it? It's like a deep catharsis. And so people who are slightly more conscious than other people will really have to start to look at exactly what that means for them in their life, because there might be something in them that might be thinking something's not working, something's not happening the way it's supposed to be happening. I'm not happy about it, or there might even just be something external, you know, that they can point at and go, you know, that's gone wrong or whatever. Um, and they really do have to go through kind of their own kind of
yeah,
metamorphosis or their own deep change in what it is. And people are going to go through it in all different ways, for all different reasons, on all different levels.
yeah, yeah,
And but it's going to be there. It's going to come up, and it's a purging around fear. You know, a fear of something. It's usually a fear of not having, or a fear of people taking something from me, or you know, it's always going to be that fear around not feeling safe or not feeling replenished, and all
mhm,
those kind of things will come up. So
yeah,
you really do have to look at the motivation or your agenda
yeah.
around why you're doing it, basically.
Yeah, I tend to find in that Scorpio energy too, one of the things I find with people is exactly like you're saying, a fear of I'm going to lose something, I'm not going to get something, these kinds of things.
Yeah,
The deeper fear that is like, what if I let it go and I'm okay?
yeah,
Right? Like that, because it sounds like that's crazy, or these ideas of like fear of success. Like, what
yeah,
happens if I surrender to the great wave and let it happen? And it's not somebody's fault about this, or this did really happen in my life. I did really do this, and it's all true. And now
yeah.
it's useful. But that sometimes I think freedom is it's a risk. It's very scorpionic risk to be free and to be healed.
It's totally. But
Yeah.
as you said, the Taurus North Node security that comes from that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's where the interesting thing is, that's where you become secure. That's where you become
I,
that's where you become safe
yeah. Because it's
by
the
by
truth,
bringing all that up,
right?
because it's the truth.
You're like, yeah, yeah. Oh, I made all these bad decisions. There you go.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
and I know it.
And it frees you up, and it takes you into this new place of feeling a lot safer in yourself. You know, nothing is more, nothing is more scary, or you're feeling more unsafe than pushing everything down,
Yeah.
or not wanting to face it, or just trying to ignore it, or
Mm-hmm.
just not just not coming to terms with something. You're always going to be living in that fear until you actually
Poo it out. Make it a resource.
exactly make it a resource. Make it a resource, because that's where your power is. That is where your power is.
Yeah,
So
it does. What a brilliant axis to be walking through. It's intense. I mean, as is, I think that Scorpio and Taurus doesn't always get a lot of credit for being as intense as it is. But I'm like, if you've ever gotten under a Taurus gaze, you're gonna get some things done. It's quite intense, So
it's very intense.
yeah,
I'm
it's
married to a Taurus, so I know how intense they can get.
I know. But so we've gone through this, we've had this, and now we're going to swoop to Aries Libra. So what can we expect? What signatures are we looking for?
Aries Libra, very, very different, because the other two are fixed, of course, and we're going into Cardinal. We're going back into Cardinal. So Cardinal is an initiating kind of quality. It's a beginning kind of quality. Um, the Aries Libra axis is the I-thou axis.
Mhm.
Me and who I am as a functioning single person in my own right, and me having to deal with and share with somebody else,
Yeah.
and the balancing act between that is a real tricky one, because often you think to yourself that I can't do both. If
Mhm.
I'm in a relationship, then I'm in the relationship. It's all about them. It's all about the relationship. I usually have to sacrifice a lot of myself for the relationship and what I want for the relationship. And then, of course, when I'm single and I'm doing my own thing, I feel really disconnected from people. I feel like I come home by myself, I eat by myself, I watch telly by myself. It feels like, it doesn't feel like I'm totally full. It doesn't.
Mhm.
Something's missing. Something's empty. So bringing them both together, you have to be able to recognize that you can have great relationships, you can be in great relationships and have healthy connections with people. But at the same time, this does not mean that all of a sudden you lose who you are.
Right.
It doesn't mean that all your needs, all your wants, all your desires, the things that you want to initiate, the things just for you have to go.
Hmm.
They can still be maintained in a relationship, and they're supposed to be maintained in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so the Aries Libra, as we move into those, it'll be working that one out, because I feel that it'll be the South Node going into Libra. Do you realize how many people, so many people I do readings for, but just people in general, are so hung up on getting that person?
Oh
So
yeah.
hung up. I've got to have that person. I've got to
Yeah.
have that person in my life. The
Yeah.
thought of being by themselves, or the thought of just having an independent kind of autonomous life, is terrifying for the
Hmm.
average person.
Sure.
Terrifying.
Sure. Sure.
So we're going to go through a Libra. We're going to go through a big Libra kind of overhaul around what that actually means.
Which is,
Why?
I think, really profound and important that we work backwards through the nodes, because when you start talking about who you are, who you've really been, where it's really hurt, all of the things that we work out through Scorpio Taurus, that opens us up to genuine interconnection, genuine relationships that are cardinal. We can bring them in, we can start now to even have a different view on what does a healthy relationship mean to me. Because if it's still the crush, I mean, I'm a Taurus, I'm probably still dating my fourth grade love affair, really, like we hold on forever, but it's like, if that is the best you're willing to give yourself, you will miss out. And I think we work that out in Scorpio Taurus, and then it's like, okay, what if the universe has a different path for me, and the people who can come with it will show me how to create interdependence, right? You think?
That's it. Yeah, I love that. I love it. Yeah, of course, that's going to be it. That's definitely going to be it. because the stuff that we talked about with Scorpio, the deep purging of some kind of inner truth has to be integrated then
Yeah.
into the following sign, which is the sign before, obviously, but by nodes, it is the following sign. So we have to, as you just said, we have to enter relationship, on that, in that Libra air kind of way, that one-on-one. Don't we get on? Don't we understand each other? Don't we harmonize in that kind of way? In a much, much more, as you said, a much, much more truthful way than ever before.
Yeah.
Not only truthful to the relationship, but truthful to us.
Plus.
Really, really truthful to us, and being able to look at us and who we are in a relationship with that kind of real penetrating, that feeling of getting right down into why am I so hung up on relationship, and why do I want a relationship?
Yeah.
And then being able to go, am I actually ready for one? Am
Absolutely.
I actually ready for a really good one?
Mhm.
And Pluto, hopefully the Scorpio energy has helped with that in some kind of way.
For sure. If nothing else, I feel like for so many of us, whether it's around money, it's around people, it's around just whatever the old relationships or the old hurts are, we kind of do get focused and come current with it and dig, like you said, into the motivation of why am I still hanging on to this? Because something is giving me fuel to get out of bed in the morning. But why? Like, why is this the power? And as I shed it and I become beautiful and can stand on my own with this new identity, man, I might look around and go, you know what? I kind of want to hang out by myself, right? I don't know how many people are going to be like, I need a break. I need a break to just be with
Yeah,
me for a minute or two to
yeah,
see it. And I love that you said, am I ready? Because this idea of like, partnership is it can be Saturnian, especially when we're
yeah,
talking about a relationship, right? Like
yeah.
this is the click it in Saturn. We're going to commit, which means it's going to be a little bit rough. It's a little hard. It's commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Am I truly prepared to do that? But more importantly, am I prepared to pick partnerships that can ride that ride with me?
Exactly, exactly. And you can't have a good relationship, really and truly, a really functioning, healthy relationship, until both parties really feel good about themselves and know who they are.
Yeah.
Everybody wants this relationship. I want that person. I want that man. I want that woman, whatever it is. And I think you're bringing this needy person, insecure person into a relationship. What do you think is going to come of that?
Yeah.
This, I need it, I want, into a relationship, and you expect the relationship to be great and work. You're going to be bringing all your stuff into that relationship, and every relationship is going to be teaching you something.
Yeah.
Every single person in our lives are our teachers.
Yeah.
And so therefore you're going to be just attracting all the people into your life that are going to be teaching you something about your dysfunction
Yeah.
until you get it right. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's that feeling of, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah. What's the truth? That's the thing I really do like about this little Scorpio Libra movement, because it's like, what's the truth? What do you bring to the table? Right. And just this idea. I don't know if you've seen this, but I have very much so watched the male female dynamic swap a bit or become something interesting in relationships, where in a lot of the client work that I'm seeing from across the globe, women making so much more than men, and like the dynamic is switched more of the masculine energy at home. And I wonder what this has done and will do as we watch this nodal work happen. I don't know if you've seen that.
But notice it so much myself,
Mm.
but because I don't get out all that much. Most of my information is coming in through clients. I'm
Sure.
not out there kind of researching everybody, out there in the world, in the social world. So you're probably one step ahead of things than I am when it comes to that. Um, but what I do feel is that Aries energy, the Aries North Node energy, of coming into a stronger, more yang side of who we are. I think we're still playing very much in relying on other people to do things for us, or it's up to another person for my life to happen. All those kind of things. I think so many people don't seem to realize that we've got to take our lives into our own hands, and we've got to be the initiators. We've got to be the people that make things happen. Our lives are not going to happen until we get out there and put one foot in front of the other and get the fire going, get the fire started.
Yeah.
That's Aries. That's the Aries energy. So what you're talking about has a lot to do with that Ariesness, I think, that's trying to want to come into things at the moment. I think particularly, I think it's going to be a real interesting change. I think women are probably going to step into their Aries energy a lot more, and men are probably going to, already they're having to do this, having to find a different way of using their Aries energy, not in the old-fashioned patriarchal kind of,
Yeah.
It's a brand new version of that. It's North Node.
It is
So
very interesting to watch. And it doesn't happen in like 6 weeks. Like these energies begin to play the stage quite gradually. And then, over a 2-year period, we look back and we go, oh, we could see the signatures here. So I'll be very interested to see what that looks like, 24, 25 time frame to see what.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be a really interesting time. Again, you've got to be careful of it because everything can be played in so many different ways. So there could be, more of a stretch of people becoming more, I don't want to say selfish, but that feeling of kind of not necessarily changing the way who they are in relationship in a positive way. They might actually just become a little bit more, I need to get what I want in the relationship, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the other person, or I just want to shake the cage a little bit, to make sure that my needs are met. And a relationship to work well and to be at its best is supposed to be win-win. It's supposed to be a situation where both partners are getting their needs met.
Yeah.
So rather than getting into the Aries side where I'm going to go into my relationship and I'm going to lay down the law and tell them, I want this, there's some people that need to do that. Really, they do. But it could actually swing too far that way. It can swing too far into a way of I'm getting something and you're not, that kind of thing, rather than actually coming into that feeling of the Ariesness where both people are winning, and the Libra where both people are equal. So it is the win-win thing. It is where both people are actually feeling the Aries and Libra working in their lives really, really well.
Yeah, I really feel like that Aries Libra is just, I laugh all the time. I'm like, if you're going to be in a relationship, I don't care what kind of relationship it is, but your ego is going to die like 1,000 times a day. So we're going to practice that. You know what I mean? Like 1,000 times a day, so that there is that space for interdependence, which is beautiful.
Totally. It's the toughest training ground you're ever going to have. A relationship.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. People think, I think they're still caught up with that whole Disney idea, of somebody coming in and sweeping them off their feet and living happily ever after. They have no idea about the amount of work involved in a real relationship.
Yes. And I keep saying, my husband and I, we were friends for a long time before we got together, and we've been together for a while. And I'm like, who is out here being in relationship with another person without like a lifeguard on duty? You've got to have some mentorship. This thing is really a lot. You've got to be able to talk to other people in relationship and understand the dynamic of how to move. I'm like, is there anybody out here who's just married and that's it? They just hang out with each other and they figured it all out? I haven't met any of those people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People's relationships over that period of time, over that 18-month period of time, will go through stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Relationships will definitely go through stuff. And there'll be a lot of relationships that may hit tough times, that may hit the skids. A lot of relationships might go the other way. A lot of relationships may actually improve,
Yeah.
and take it and go to the next level of who
Mhm.
they are together. So there'll be a lot of stuff going down relationship wise when the South Node moves into Libra, for sure. Um,
Wow.
it's like a watch this space kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's the brilliance of astrology. We watch the patterns, we follow, we track forward, we track back, and then we just have to like put our little calculators down and watch how it actually manifests. And
How
that,
it plays out.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I love about client work. I'm like, okay, well, in, 6 months, let's meet back and see how it actually happened, or, whatever. But that's the brilliance of this job, don't you think?
Oh, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. I mean, I've been doing that for a big, big chunk of my life, and I still get goose flesh, with astrology. It's still, I get as astounded today about it as I did, 35 years ago. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped astounding me. I just love it so much.
Yeah, well,
It's
you
just
just radiate with it. You really do. So thank you for holding the space and coming out and sharing it, letting it come out of you.
Oh, thank you so much, Stormy. It's been great. It's been wonderful. I've really, really enjoyed the interaction.
Yeah, me
Thank you.
too. And I'm sure, it's so funny because we'll have people over and then the reactions to it are always so interesting. So I'll be excited to have you back because I'm sure people are going to be like, well, go deeper. Wait, we want to know more about that thing. So just plan on coming back.
I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on for sure. Love to.
Absolutely brilliant. All right, you guys. Hopefully, this has been like just a wonderful talk. Things for you to think about, things for you to kind of mull over. Where is this actively happening in your life? Where are you seeing these signatures? Where are you thinking, rethinking, refeeling, re-experiencing any of these things? I would love to hear about that in the comment section down below. Please check out the description box. And if you resonate with Marc and you resonate with his school, go find your teacher, go find your mentorship. So we'd love to make that connection. All right, beautiful friends, we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.